started to tell, and the team began to fade. Slot realised that if he wanted to retain the good aspects of his predecessor's team, he would have to find a way to make it more sustainable. Since his arrival, his Liverpool are a lot more attentive to the idea of shifts in the speed of the game, in tempo. There is now no longer the emphasis on immediate direct play that there was before, and although they can still launch devastating attacks at speed, if the moment isn't right, Slot prefers that his team hold on to the ball, pausing before attacking. And this use of tempo hasn't just improved Liverpool on the ball, it's improved them without it too. Not only are they better able to defend with the ball, when they shift into lower tempo possession phases, they're also much better prepared to cover if they lose the ball in moments when they do choose to go direct. And the results are clear at this point, with Liverpool sitting at the top of the Premier League and Champions League tables at the time of writing. But it's easy to miss just how difficult it is to implement a completely different idea of tempo within a team. Although Slot has benefited from the fact that the tactical ideas necessary to his system have already been instilled in the team by Jurgen Klopp before him, the introduction of a new approach to timing changes how these pre-existing ideas are used. Now, Klopp's Liverpool were happy to lean into the chaos when they were attacking, playing difficult balls but then using any ball losses to counter-press and counter-attack. In this sense, the chaos created the defensive weaknesses that they could then capitalise on. But that chaos, by its nature, often created defensive weaknesses in Liverpool as well. Slot, on the other hand, prefers to generate defensive weaknesses in his opponent's structure before attacking, holding the ball patiently across the back line before quickly shifting tempo when the moment is right. In this way, Liverpool are now limiting their attacks to the moments when they're more likely to succeed, meaning that they're less likely to suffer unintended consequences. But this does add a layer of complexity into the coaching process. Not only do the players need to understand the principles of how to possess and progress the ball, they also need to be able to read when to trigger their tempo shifts, which is not an easy thing for a coach to implement, but it is something that Slot has managed, and in a very short space of time. And beyond this, Slot's in-game management has also been impressive, with the Liverpool manager making key adjustments in the course of games that have either fixed problems or created advantages for his team. This sort of openness to evolving his ideas places him squarely in the lineage of other managers who've enjoyed success in the league, and suggests that Slot could help turn this Liverpool side from a very good one into one of the great sides in recent years. And of course, more broadly, both Manchester City and Arsenal faltering at the outset has changed the landscape of the Premier League this season. The requirements for a team to be considered in a title challenge have lowered considerably, but that does not mean to say that what Slot has achieved in a short space of time at Liverpool is somehow less impressive. If they should find themselves at the top of the league by the end of the 24-25 season, Liverpool and Slot will be worthy winners. If you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. The Athletic is home to some of the world's best sports journalists, including David Ornstein, Daniel Taylor, Ollie Kay, Amy Lawrence, and James Woodcastle. The latest transfer news on every Premier League story that matters, theathletic.com puts you inside football, and you can try it for free now for 30 days. See the link in the description. It would be easy to say that Arne Slot is just wrong.
Set up a demonstration on one of the coolest animals on earth, the bombardier beetle. This animal is a Horus. And Horus became a physical incarnation on earth, and it is believed by the ancient Egyptians that all the pharaohs became gods incarnate. And once one particular pharaoh died, the spirit would then go into the next pharaoh, and so on and so on. So this cycle of reincarnation continued.
In the ancient Egyptian creation mythology, the god Ptah came from Sirius and fashioned the human body. We have to ask the question, did extraterrestrials come to Earth and tweak the human body to serve as a vehicle for the soul? If the stories of the Egyptian gods incarnating into human bodies are true, do all humans possess souls that have been passed down from the beginning of mankind and may have originated beyond Earth? Perhaps further clues can be found.
by examining recent case studies into past lives that scientists find too remarkable to dismiss. Charlottesville, Virginia, 1967. Renowned psychiatrist Dr. Ian Stevenson launches the Division of Personality Studies at the University of Virginia, making it one of the first educational institutions to devote serious research into the study of reincarnation. Over his 40-year career, Dr. Stevenson extensively studied more than 3,000 cases of individuals who reported past life memories. And he was able to objectively validate the claims being made in an astounding 1,200 instances.
The body of work by Ian Stevenson is exceptionally credible. It's painstakingly documenting instances of things that are suggestive of reincarnation. Now, what makes the case credible is that the person has specific knowledge that they couldn't possibly have.
Dr. Stevenson traveled throughout the world to meet with people claiming to have knowledge of their past lives. He used various methodologies, including hypnosis, to obtain pertinent details from the subjects, and then would set out to authenticate and document the evidence. One of his most striking case studies was Suzanne Gunham, who was born in Richmond, Virginia in 1963. She insisted from a young age that in her previous life she had been Hanan Mansour, a Lebanese woman who had passed away just 10 days before Suzanne was born. At the age of 2, she shared with her parents the name of Hanan's husband and her 3 children, and later scribbled a phone number on a scrap of paper. Dr. Stevenson would discover that the number matched the Mansour's home phone number, except that the last 2 digits were reversed.
Suzanne Gannon holds the record for being able to identify relatives of her prior life. She walked into a room and identified 25 different relatives by name and their relationship.
In another case study, Dr. Stevenson traveled to India to research the claims of one of the most notorious reincarnations in the region.
There's the interesting case of Shanti Devi in India. She was born in 1926, and at the age of 4, she began telling her parents that she was the reincarnation of this other woman from another town called Mathura.
Mathura is a small village over 100 miles away from Shanti's hometown of Delhi. By the time Shanti Devi was 9 years old, she had convinced her parents of her prior existence and was put in contact with her former family. The young girl spoke directly with the man she claimed she was married to in her previous life.
Shanti Devi gives very accurate information, knows exactly where she lived in this past life, the names of people in her family, her husband specifically. She eventually met this family and her husband from a previous life. And lo and behold, these people embraced her and agreed that she is this lost relative from another life.
Eventually, Mahatma Gandhi himself got involved in this whole story. He had an investigation made, and in 1936, Gandhi himself said that he was satisfied that she was the reincarnation of this other woman.
In some reincarnation cases, like that of an English woman named Dorothy Eddy, the past life recall went much further back in history. As a young girl, after a near-death experience, she began recalling her life as a temple virgin in Egypt during the reign of Seti I in the 14th century BC. Eddy eventually moved to Abydos, Egypt, took on the name Om Seti, and became a respected Egyptologist and the keeper of the Temple of Seti.
It was really interesting because she was one of very few that perfected the ancient Egyptian language.
can't translate. I can try to read, but she could speak it. And she would go to the other Egyptologists and tell them, the gardens of whatever is down here, dig here to find it. And most thought she was